Hello everyone and welcome to the Excel challenge. In this video, I want to show you how to create a chart that automatically updates and it also sorts the data in a descending order. In this example, we have apples in third place. Let's say if I add 11, apples is going to take the first place. Oranges currently in first place is going to move to second, and bananas currently second is going to move to third. When I hit enter, that is what happens. My next entry is bananas. Bananas is in third. If I add 11, bananas is going to take the first place, and apples and oranges are going to move one place down. Notice how the data is still sorted in descending order. Blackberries is not in the chart because it's not part of the top 5 selling products. Let's say if I add 15, blackberries are now in the chart and peaches move to the 5th place. Strawberries have now moved out of the chart since they are now in rank number 6. So if you want to see how to build this spreadsheet, please stay tuned. Okay, for this exercise I already prepared a table that shows us the sales of a fruit stand. This fruit stand sells fruits which are listed on the left hand side of the table. Then we have columns which every day of the month, and then we have the total sales. The first thing we're going to do is start entering our data. For this exercise, it doesn't really matter what units you want to use. It could be pounds, dollars, euros, tons. So let's start punching our data in here. On May the 1st, the apple sales were 12, the banana sales were 14, the blackberry sales were 4, and 12, 12, and 10. Okay, we have 4 days of sales so far. I'm going to use the sum formula to see the total for each of the fruits, and I'm going to select the range and fill down using Control D. At this point I have the total sales for each of the fruits. We can see that bananas is the leading in sales with 16. Then we have apples and oranges tied on second with 51, and then in fourth place we have peaches with 42, and so on. In order to organize the data, I'm going to rank each of the value. What I'm going to do here is select and fill to the right using Control R just to copy the format. I'm going to call this column sales rank. I'm going to delete what I have, and I'm going to use the formula RANK.EQ. This formula used to be called rank in previous versions of Excel. So RANK.EQ needs a couple of parameters. The number I want to evaluate, which is this one for apples, comma, the range where I want to rank apples, which is this range, which I'm going to lock with F4, comma, and then finally we want to know whether it's descending or ascending. Since I want my highest seller to be on the top, I'm going to select descending, in other words 0, close parenthesis, and enter. So apples is in second place. I'm now going to fill down using Control D, and I can see that bananas is in first place, apples is tied with oranges in second, peaches is the fourth, blackberries and strawberries are tied in fifth. My next step is going to be to create a working table where I can sort my top 5 selling products. And here it is. On the left I have my sales rank, on the center I have the product name, on the right hand side I have the total sales for each product. The ranks I want to evaluate are my top seller being number 1, the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Now, in order to pull the product name from the table on the left, I'm going to use the index formula, which is asking me for the array or the range where I want to find the product name, which is this range right here, which I'm going to lock with F4, comma. Now I want to know what row my rank number 1 is. For that I'm going to use my formula match. I want to look up value number 1, comma, in my sales rank range, which I'm going to lock with F4, comma. Finally, Excel is asking me if I want less than, exact match, or greater than. I want exact match, which is a 0. Close parenthesis for match, close parenthesis for index, and when I hit enter, I get bananas being my #1 top selling product. If I fill down with Control D, I can see apples is in second place. I can see I don't have a third place since apples and oranges are tied in second. We're gonna fix that in a minute. Peaches is in number 4, and then blackberries is in number 5, even though strawberries is in number 5 as well. Reason why blackberries show first is because they're on the top. For my total sales, what I'm going to do is copy this formula with Control C, paste it in this column with Control V and enter. The only thing I'm going to do is, instead of pulling the product, I want to pull the actual sales. I select and I fill down with Control D. These are my top 5 selling products. We still gotta fix the problem we have with the third place. And in order to do that, I'm going to add 2 more columns to our table. I'm going to select this column and I'm gonna fill to the right with Control R just to copy the format. I'm gonna delete this content and I'm gonna title the 2 columns. This column is gonna be type and this column is gonna be sales rank Untitled. Smaller font so I can fit everything here. In the type column, I'm going to create a growing range so I can see how many times the ranks are repeated. For that, I'm going to use the formula COUNTIF. The range I want to evaluate is going to be 04 to 04. I'm going to lock the top of the range and I'm going to say comma. The criteria is if you find this value. Close parenthesis, enter, and I fill down with Control D. What this is telling me is apples is repeated only once up to this point. Bananas is repeated once up to this point. Blackberries is repeated once up to this point. You can see how this blue range is growing. That being said, rank number 2 is repeated twice by the time I get to oranges. Peaches is only once. And strawberries is repeated twice by the time I get to this point. Right here I'm counting, so I'm gonna take -1, select, fill down with Control D, and this is telling me how many times the value is tied. Last thing I'm gonna do in this table is I'm gonna sum the sales rank plus how many times the rank is tied. Select, fill down with Control D, and now I have rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc., etc. I no longer want to look at the sales rank, but the sales rank Untitled for my product and for my total sales. Enter, select, fill down, and the issue is resolved. The very last thing I want to do is insert a bar chart, and I'm going to do some formatting here. Okay, now we have a bar chart showing us the total sales of the top 5 products. Let's see what happens when I start updating my data. Right now we have apples in the second place, just behind bananas. Let's say the sales of apples is 10, which is gonna make this number 61. It's gonna move apples to the top and it's gonna move bananas to the second. Let's see what happens with these bars when I hit enter. And that's right. Apples is now number 1, bananas is 2. If I leave bananas in 0, and let's make oranges, I'm gonna put a big number here just to move it to the first place. It is at 51 now. If I put a big number like 20, oranges is gonna move to the first spot, apples to the second, bananas to the third. And that's what happened. And that's it for today. If you have a challenge with Excel that you need help with, whether it is at work, at home, or at school, please leave it in the comments below. I try to resolve common challenges of our viewers and subscribers. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.